Hi, everyone. Welcome, welcome. We are live, and we are so thrilled to be here on June 19th, Juneteenth, to talk about finding and connecting your African American ancestors with Family Search. We have the wonderful Julia Anderson from Family Search who is going to be joining us today. Hi, Julia. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. It's good to
Thank
be here
you so
today.
much. We have a couple of technical difficulties, like as far as the branding is concerned, but we're not going to let that stop us from having fun for the next hour. It's going to be good. When you have technical difficulties, it means like something great is going to happen. There's a lot of learning to have. Well, for those of you that are joining us across Family Search social media channels and Roots Tech social media channels and Family Search Library social media, please, please, please drop in the comments where you're watching us from. We have a weekly live stream that happens every single Thursday that you can look forward to learn more about family history. Doesn't matter what experience you have with Family Search or family history or genealogy. This is a wonderful opportunity for you to learn about specific topics that can help you with your family history journey. And so today, again, we have Julia Anderson, and I'm going to just share a little bit about her because we love getting to know the people that give these wonderful weekly family search classes. So Julia has a lot to in her bio that's going to excite all of us as we get to know a little bit more about her topic. She's a professional genealogist. And Julia, how long have you been doing this for?
A really long time. I don't know the right answer. I got my undergraduate degree in history and family history from BYU back in 1993.
That's so
And
neat. So you've been doing this for decades.
before then, yeah.
That's wonderful. So she's passionate about history, she's passionate about family connections, and she holds a master's degree in history. Pretty cool. And she is also an accredited genealogist, an accredited genealogist lecturer. I didn't know that was a thing. What does that mean, Julia?
Well, basically, it means that I give a lot of presentations. So,
And you enjoy doing that. That's why you're here. Thank you. So she specializes in research in the US Gulf South region. And guess what, everyone? For those of you that are or maybe aren't familiar with the Family Search Library, Julia is basically a celebrity there because people go to her as a research specialist. And she's in Salt Lake City, where we have thousands of people going to the Family Search Library to ask all of our Family Search specialists questions about family history. And she helps people dig into their roots every single day. And so we get to hear from her today about, again, how it is that you can have success if you're looking for African American family members and ancestors. This is going to enlighten us, especially on such a special day like Juneteenth. Uh, Julia, just a really quick question for you. What got you interested in family history to start with? I think that's something that like always kind of just like is of interest to everybody.
so when I was 5 years old, my grandma gave me a book that was called All About Me. And it was kind of a fill-in journal where you write things about your family. And there was a little family tree in there to fill out. And I think that was my initial excitement about family history, was filling out all of this information and thinking that someday someone would read about me and want to know about me. When I was a little bit older, we went on a family trip with my grandparents, and my grandpa was able to show us all the places where he grew up, and we were able to meet some extended family. And uh, the next year, we visited the genealogy library in Salt Lake City for one of our family vacations. And next thing I know, I'm teaching my classmates in third grade about how to fill out a pedigree chart. And so it was just
Wow.
something that excited me from the beginning. And I didn't know I was going to have that as a profession until much later, when somebody convinced me that that was really what my mission in life was. So I'm happy to be here and excited to share what I've learned with everyone.
Thanks so much, Julia. That's so neat. And every time we ask our family search instructors on Thursdays, what got you into family history? Everyone's journey is just so unique, and yours is very special. So thanks for sharing that with us. So for everyone tuning in, guys, it's like 4 minutes in and we have 150 people that are tuning into this week's family search class. Please let us know where you're watching from in the comments, and feel free to ask questions throughout. What we'll do is we'll be very attentive to the questions that you have. We'll make sure that we're answering them throughout. We'll bring them up on the screen. And just because this is something that we're getting into the habit of, again, every Thursday, FamilySearch has a wonderful and talented instructor that will come and share with you more about topics that can help you with your family history journey. We're almost at 200 people, Julia. So everyone is so enthusiastic about learning more, again, about finding and connecting with your African American ancestors with FamilySearch. So let's get started. Thank you so much, Julia, for being here. Again, it's a holiday, and we're so grateful for everyone that's tuning in.
All right. Well, I have 3 main objectives for this class. First, I am planning to briefly review the African American research methodology and the standard research process. Second, I'll introduce key FamilySearch resources for African American research. And third, I will enable you to find and connect your African American ancestors, which is really why you're here. So, methodology describes ways genealogists approach certain types of research problems, specifically what resources they would use and the order in which they might utilize those resources. Someone researching members of the aristocracy in 16th century England is going to use different research methodology than someone looking for enslaved people in 18th century Barbados. And you can learn about African American research methodology from many different sources. But today I would just like to highlight one particular resource that's available from FamilySearch. It's called a booklet, or it is a booklet called 10 Steps to Reclaiming Your African Roots, a guide to navigating African American genealogy. It's available in PDF format and will guide you through the basics. You can scan this code on the screen, or there is a link to it in the class handout. The first 5 steps outlined in the booklet are: write down what you know. And I just can't stress the importance of this enough. It helps you have a solid starting point to do the research. And it also helps you collaborate with others, which is so important in this work. Next is to find artifacts around your home. In my family, we have scrapbooks, photos, certificates, newspapers, even funeral programs, yearbooks, and journals. Some families also have quilts, doilies, baby books, and other items that have sentimental value. But those things also have genealogical value. And gathering those items into one place and looking them over to find clues about your family can be very helpful when you're starting to do your family research. Next is to interview relatives, especially those of the oldest generation who are still living. They usually know so much more than we do, and so much more than they would just tell us at the dinner table or something. Even if they just know a couple of extra facts or stories that you haven't heard before, it is so worth the time and effort to ask them. Extended family members may have heard different details about grandparents or great-grandparents than those that were passed down in your branch of the family. Next is to create a FamilySearch account. This is going to help you organize your information, collaborate with other family members, and maximize your search results in historical records. Number 5 is to create your own family tree. By using Family Tree, you can attach sources and keep track of your research, photos, stories, and family relationships. The next steps are to search for existing ancestors. This is another way of saying you can connect to your branch of the family and connect that branch to ancestors that have already been entered into Family Tree on FamilySearch. Next, you'll want to look for blanks in your family tree. Once you can see what is missing, you'll know what you need to look for. Number 8 is to search for historical records. These records contain the evidence needed to extend your family tree. 9 is to add photos and stories. These really help your family history come alive, and sharing what you know blesses everyone for generations. They're also great conversation starters and help jog people's memories to sharing new information that they may not have shared before. And number 10 is to work together as a family. Family history work can really bring people together as they work toward a common goal. Now, many of these 10 steps are pretty easy, But a lot of people tend to get hung up on number 8, search for historical records. Finding and analyzing these records is usually the most difficult part and confusing part of genealogy research, and that's one reason tools from FamilySearch are so valuable. At the risk of grossly oversimplifying things, African American genealogy research basically has 2 categories: after 1865 and before 1865. 1865 is important because it marked the official end of slavery in the United States. Laws regarding African Americans, both those who were free and those who were enslaved, before and after that time differed significantly. Basically, if you're researching after 1865, you follow the standard research process for genealogy research in the United States. Some of the specific resources may differ, especially by region and time period, but the process is essentially the same. If you are researching before 1865 and your ancestor was free, follow the standard research process. But if your ancestor was enslaved, you must identify the slaveholder or the potential slaveholder, and then follow the standard research process for that person. So what is the standard research process? Well, simply put, it's a cycle that has 5 components. Many of these are rather encompassed within those 10 steps for reclaiming your African roots that I mentioned a minute ago. And this process applies to any kind of genealogy research, no matter what time period or place you're investigating. Number 1 is to gather known information. 2, choose a research goal. 3, find new information. 4, evaluate the new information. And 5, share the new information. To find new information, it's important to know what records are going to be the most helpful. Generally, those that specifically mention African Americans include newspapers, slave narratives, records of the Freedmen's Bureau and Freedmen's Bank, census records, especially those from 1870 to 1950, vital records, land and property records, military records, probate records, church records, cemetery records, court records, and manuscript collections. Now, specific record availability depends on the time period and place you're researching. In the 20th century, you might rely mostly on census, vital, military, and Social Security records, as well as newspapers. Research in the 19th century also calls for census, vital, and military records, but also special record sets like the Freedmen's Bureau and Freedmen Bank records. When researching an individual's slaveholder, you will need to access land and probate records and manuscript collections. More modern types of records did not generally exist in the 18th century, so we need to rely even more on land and property, probate, and tax records and manuscript collections. As you look for new information in these various types of historical records, FamilySearch has many resources to assist you. A few of these include the African American Genealogy Wiki page, the African American Online Genealogy Wiki page, the Quick Guide to African American Records, Southern States Slavery and Bondage Collections, the African American Digital Bookshelf, records of the Freedmen's Bureau and Freedmen's Bank, full text search, and the Other Relationship feature on Family Tree. The FamilySearch Wiki is home to most of these resources. To find the wiki, simply go to familysearch.org and click on Search in the top menu bar. A drop-down menu will appear, and Research Wiki is the choice near the bottom of the list. The Research Wiki main page has a search bar in the top center. You can click on different areas of the map to search specific locations, or you can just type into the search bar. If you type African American into the search field, you will get a drop-down menu with many different options. The first page I want to show you is called African American Genealogy. It provides a great springboard to additional research. It includes links to African American online genealogy records and the FamilySearch community for African American genealogy research. Along the right side of the page is a column entitled African American Genealogy Wiki Topics, and it has links to each one. There are also links to articles about name changes, slavery research, and other unique topics. If you scroll down a little on that page, you will also see links to the state African American pages with resources on African American research for each state. Links to additional collections are included below. Even lower on the page, you can see links to information on collections in the National Archives and how to do African American genealogy research. Other topics include information about African American history and keys to success in African American research. Key links to helpful websites are also listed on this wiki page, so it's kind of a one-stop shop for getting started in your research. Another really helpful page on the Research Wiki is called African American Online Genealogy Records. It includes links for online records grouped by category, such as vital records, biographies, census records, church records, military, and newspapers. These lists are not exclusively for collections on FamilySearch, but also those on other websites. Before diving in more involved research, you'll want to check out the Quick Guide to African American Records, which outlines important methodology and search strategies for doing African American research. Next, we have the Southern States Slavery and Bondage Collections page, which goes through each state, county by county, and details what collections in the FamilySearch catalog can assist you in your research, along with notes about the particular collections. Many of these collections are digitized and available for viewing online. It's always a good idea to browse through the records in the area where your ancestor lived, because he or she might not be listed by the name you know them as now. Look for family members and other associates, including slaveholders, and use additional identifying information such as occupation or physical description combined with family stories to locate your ancestors. The African American Digital Bookshelf has an extensive list of books regarding African American ancestors, historical context, and guidance to other resources. These books are free to search online, and the titles covering the United States as a whole are listed alphabetically and are from a variety of websites, including FamilySearch, Internet Archive, Google Books, HathiTrust, the Library of Congress, and others. Additional titles pertaining to particular states are listed after the ones for the entire United States as a whole. The Bureau of Refugees, Freedmen, and Abandoned Lands, often called the Freedmen's Bureau, was created at the end of the Civil War to assist formerly enslaved persons called freedmen, as well as refugees from the war. During the 7 years that it operated, the Bureau created hundreds of thousands of records, and these are digitized and available on FamilySearch. Records of the Freedmen's Bureau can be a little confusing because they contain many different types of records. This article on the Research Wiki, called Freedmen's Bureau Record Types, provides essential background information for those hoping to best use this resource. Another invaluable set of records on FamilySearch is commonly called the Freedmen's Bank Records. These are the records of the African American Freedmen's Savings and Trust Company. The bank was created in 1865 as a depository for Black veterans as well as former slaves and their families to build their savings. Its records of 480,000 names, estimated to be the largest single repository of lineage-linked African American records, has been indexed by FamilySearch and is also available online. Another amazing tool available from FamilySearch is the new full-text search currently found on FamilySearch Labs. Engineers at FamilySearch have taught computers to read handwriting in many different types of historical records. The computers then make a transcription or typed copy of the words written in the records. These transcriptions are then every word searchable, which allows patrons to quickly search records that have never been indexed. You can access full text search through labs from this URL or from the FamilySearch.org logged in homepage by scrolling down and looking for this tile on the right side of the page. Then just click on View Experiments. To access the experiment, simply go to the tile that says Expand your search with full text. Then click Try it. If you've already tried it at least once, the tile will say Go to Experiment, and you just want to click on that. Full text search is so amazing because you can access billions of previously unindexed document images, and you can search every word in the text, including obscure place names, nicknames, relationships, and combinations of keywords. By using different parameters, you can find exact words and phrases, and you can focus your search to include specific years, record types, locations, and collections. To search, you are going to begin where it says Start Your Search. Here, you can type in a name, keywords, a place, year range, or FamilySearch image group or DGS number. Records are constantly being added to full text search, making it essential to keep checking back. Besides searching all the records, you can also find a specific collection or browse all the collections and then choose one to search at a time. As you start searching for your ancestors, the website will guide you with some search tips. The first one is to use quotation marks around an exact word or phrase, including first and last names. You can also use the plus symbol to include a specific word or phrase to your search. If you use the minus symbol, that will exclude a specific word or phrase. You can also use wildcards like the question mark symbol to find different spellings and the asterisk symbol to find different forms of a root word or name. Once you select a record to view, you can see the actual image right there on the screen. You will see its DGS item and image numbers in the upper left corner. A film strip of the other images in the item number or on the film appears along the bottom edge. Your search terms are highlighted in yellow, or you can turn off that feature. You can also see a full computer-created transcription, which you can then copy or download. You can view an AI-generated document summary and many image tools. You can also see the names in the document if the image has been indexed, and you can return to the transcript view, see the image group data, or you can select Save Record. You get options to attach the record directly to someone on FamilySearch Family Tree from this button, or you can add the record image directly to your source box. This way of searching has made so many more records about our ancestors accessible, especially for populations who are often marginalized, like formerly enslaved people and free people of color. I'm going to show you some examples of how to use this search tool. Oh, and if you click on Save Record, that's the little pop-up that will come up, and you can select the one that you want. Okay, so finding enslaved persons with full text search is really exciting. When you combine the first name of an enslaved person with the name of the slaveholder and some slavery-related keywords, magic can really happen in your search. So here's an example. I was looking for an enslaved man named Elijah. His slaveholder I knew was Robert Taylor, who resided in Rusk County, Texas in the 1850s. So in the box labeled Start Your Search, in the name field, I put the name of the slaveholder, Robert Taylor, in quotation marks. This is because I was looking for someone before 1865 who was enslaved. Then in the keyword field, I added plus Elijah and plus Negro. This means that the computer will look for images that have Elijah and Negro with the name Robert Taylor. There are lots of other slavery-related keywords I could use, and I do want to try all of them in my future searches. But I found that this is a really good starting place because it typically gives me the largest number of results. So after I completed the search, I had 546 matches. So then I filtered by place. I knew that Robert Taylor lived in Rusk County, Texas, so I chose that location. That returned 2 results. Both were part of a collection of probate records from Rusk County, Texas, and they looked very promising. The first record was an inventory of the estate of Mary M. Taylor, the deceased wife of Robert Taylor, and was filed on 16 January 1857. It included a list of enslaved persons, 2 of whom were named Elijah. The next record was an accounting of the estate of Mary M. Taylor and included more information about the inventory. Within these paragraphs, it not only listed the names and ages of the enslaved persons, it also gave their relationships to each other. It says, one Negro woman named Emily, let me show you the picture. One Negro woman named Emily, aged 30 years, and her 3 children, Eugene, aged 6 years, Harriet, aged 4 years, and Texana, aged 3 years. One Negro man named Elijah, aged 43 years. One ditto, Dilsey, aged 45 years, and wife of the above, and their children, VIZ Elijah, Jr., aged 22 years, Anne, aged 17 years, Lewis, aged 18 years, Mary, 13 years, Elizabeth, 11 years, Julia, 9 years, Huey, 7 years, and Charles, aged 5 years. I don't have to tell you that this information is golden. From this, I was able to put together 2 families in this one record. So the first was the family of Emily and her 3 children. And the second was the family of Elijah and Dilsey and their 8 children. All right, here's another example. So in this one, I wanted to identify the previously unknown persons who had been enslaved by Elijah Hickman in Accomack County, Virginia, specifically those whom he had emancipated at his death. So for my initial search, I put Elijah Hickman in quotation marks in the name field because he was the slaveholder. Then I put plus Negro in the keywords field. Then I performed the search, which returned 84 matches. Next, I filtered by place to Accomack County, Virginia, and got 65 matches. To narrow my search further, I added the term plus emancipate to the keyword field, since I was looking for people who were emancipated by Elijah Hickman. When I updated the search, I got back 5 results. These results were part of a collection of probate records from Accomack County. One of the records was the will of Elijah Hickman, and part of that document states, item, I emancipate and set at liberty my 2 Negro men, Daniel and George, at the expense of my estate, to be at liberty at the end of the present year. Item, I emancipate and set at liberty my 2 Negro girls, Esther and Sabro, at the age of 25 years. This answered the question about who the enslaved persons were that Elijah Hickman had emancipated. It also gave me information about Elijah's family members, which helped me positively identify the family. So from this document, I was able to put together 3 generations of the Hickman family and identify these 4 enslaved individuals. So next, I'm going to show a few examples of finding free people of color in historical records. When I entered the phrase free man of color in quotes in the keyword search bar, I got almost 20,000 results. Free woman of color yielded 10,500, and free person of color over 9,000. In this first example, I entered free man of color in the keyword field. The first match was for Louisiana court case files from 1850. In this example, several free men of color had gotten into a fight, resulting in a man's death. This is the record for the incident, which gives some very helpful biographical information about all of the individuals involved. In this next example, in Richmond, Georgia, free people of color were required by law to go into the court and register themselves. This particular example occurred during the Civil War. Jane Brooks was one such woman, and this record tells us her age, her mother's name, which was Betsy Brooks, where she was born, her occupation, and her complexion. It also tells who she named as her guardian, which was also a requirement of the law at the time. Families often went into court together. This record for Caroline Snowden is in the same register. It states that she was 19 years old and that Jane Brooks was her mother. And this is the registration for Louisa Campbell. She was 22 years old and another daughter of Jane Brooks. A few pages later in the record book was this table showing all the individuals who had come into court to register their status as free people of color. The clerk put everyone into family groups, which was very helpful. Here you can see Jane with her mother's name listed, followed by 5 of her children: John Bearfield, Emily Bearfield, Caroline Snowden, Louisa Campbell, and Lewis Campbell. It tells their ages, and they were all adults except for 19-year-old Caroline, where they were born, which was all in Augusta, Georgia, and their current residence, occupation, and physical description. So from this one record, I was able to identify 3 generations of a family: Jane Brooks, her mother Betsy, and Jane's 5 children: John, Emily, Caroline, Louisa, and Lewis. So I looked in Family Tree on FamilySearch and found Caroline Snowden with her mother Jane and a father named James Snowden, along with Jane's parents, Elizabeth or Betsy Brooks, and Joseph Carnes. After that, I was able to attach this record from full text search to them on Family Tree, and I can also attach any other information that I discover in the future about them in the records. It can also be helpful to narrow your full text search by collection, as I mentioned. One of these important collections is the records of the Freedmen's Bureau. These have long been considered extremely valuable for African American research during the period of Reconstruction after the Civil War. But as I mentioned before, they can be difficult to search because they're not well indexed, and the collection does contain many different types of records. But now we can much more easily locate freedmen and refugees from this time period, getting the maximum benefit possible from these valuable records. So to search them, I find it's best to locate the collection first. That will open up this search screen. And in this case, I wanted to find evidence of a married couple with the first names Vina and James. I knew they used the last name Fawcett, but wasn't sure they would be listed as such in these records, so I just started with their first names in combination. I also knew that they had lived in Texas at one time, but I didn't know where I would find them at this particular moment. One of the matches I got for the couple was a group of court records from a case between Vina Fawcett and the administrator of the estate of James H. Fawcett. This record states that James H. Fawcett was the decedent was a white person of European blood, and the said Vina Fawcett is a freedwoman of African descent. The record continues, and that she so being of African descent, and his, the said James H. Fawcett's slave, he, the said James H. Fawcett, was not by the laws of land authorized to take her to wife, and that he never did, nor could do so under said laws. So the person disputing the relationship was citing the law as their evidence. However, Another document in the file disputes this. According to this witness, the said Vina Fawcett was the wife of said James H. Fawcett at the time of his death and had been for about 12 years before that time. Vina insisted that she is the surviving wife, make sure I'm on the right slide, of James H. Fawcett deceased, and that there are no heirs to said estate known to her but herself. Vina was suing for her dower right, which was 1/3 of the estate, and the remainder of James's estate as his heir at law, stating that the estate administrator was actually keeping all the property for himself. This record explains the relationship details between James and Vina and why there might have been confusion among the community. Court records are really fascinating because you can often hear several different sides to the story. So one thing to note is when you're using full text search, the number of matches you get will depend on whether you're home or at a FamilySearch center or affiliate library. Centers and affiliates have fewer record restrictions due to contractual obligations, so you will have greater success using this full text search feature when you're on site. It's really easy to find a center or affiliate library. From the main FamilySearch.org homepage, look for the little map pin icon in the top menu bar. It looks like a little raindrop upside down. You need to have your location enabled, and then it will show you your nearest location or give you the opportunity to locate a different one. The final FamilySearch resource that I'd like to highlight today is the Other Relationships feature on Family Tree. This allows us to record information we find about people of interest in historical records, even if they have unknown last names and non-biological relationships. Remember the two families who were enslaved by Robert and Mary Maria Taylor in Rusk County, Texas? We had Emily and her 3 children, and Elijah and Dilsey and their 8 children. First, I went to Robert Alexander Taylor's person page on FamilySearch Family Tree because he was the slaveholder. Then I scrolled down to the bottom of the screen to the section called Other Relationships, and I selected Add Other Relationship. That brings up this screen showing that I'm selecting another relationship to Robert Alexander Taylor. If I click on the little arrow that points down in the relationship box, it pulls up a drop-down menu. Choices in the menu are apprenticeship, employment, enslavement, godparent, household, neighbor, and relative. So from that menu, in this case, I chose enslavement. Once I select the type of relationship, I can add individuals who have that particular relationship. So next, I get a name entry screen where I can enter any information I know about the enslaved person. Here you can see I added Emily, a female who is deceased and who I estimated to have been born in about 1827, based on her age in the probate record from 1856. The computer did not find an obvious match for Emily in the tree, so stated there was no match found and gave me an option to create person. Next, I got a confirmation screen. It looked correct, so I clicked on Save. Now, if the relationship had shown up backward with Emily as the slaveholder, I could change that by clicking on the arrows in the middle. Once I saved the information, Emily appeared on Robert Taylor's person page under the enslavement category. This added her to Family Tree with a unique personal identification number, or PID, which will allow me to connect her to other individuals and add source material, relationships, memories, and other details about her. Next, I added all the enslaved individuals mentioned in Robert's wife's probate file. Then, since they were all in Family Tree, I was able to use their personal identification numbers that were generated by FamilySearch to connect the families. On the left is Emily with her 3 children, and on the right are Elijah and Dilsey with their 8 children. Later, I discovered that Elijah and Dilsey's son, Elijah Jr., was already listed in Family Tree as Elijah Taylor, along with his wife Easter and their 4 children, Alice, Julia, Frank, and Emery. By adding the formerly enslaved individuals to Family Tree, I was able to link these 3 generations of family members together and attach the sources showing the evidence of their relationships. And this is really vital information for tracing our ancestors. So, in summary, today I've briefly reviewed African American research methodology and the standard research process. I also introduced key FamilySearch resources for African American research, and hopefully I've enabled you to find and connect your African American ancestors. So I think now we're going to have some time for questions.
Julia, we have learned so much from you in the time that we've had in these 40 minutes. Okay, so we do have several questions. Let me make sure that I've gathered them. And everyone, thank you for watching and tuning in. We have people watching from FamilySearch centers, the ones that you pointed out in your presentation, and from all across the states and even from Latin America. It's so wonderful to see just how international these classes turn out. Okay, so one moment, let me just pull up the comments and questions that people are asking. So Tate asked early on, she just wanted to know, like, what's your best tip for finding records on FamilySearch? And I don't know if it's necessarily in the context of this class, but in this, maybe we just start there. Just a tip for Tate on where to find records on FamilySearch.
So there's actually a lot of places to find records on FamilySearch. And the default that I usually do is to figure out the exact place where my family lived. And then I go to the FamilySearch catalog and see what records exist for that specific location. And for United States research, it's usually the county jurisdiction that is the most important. And so I usually start there first. So for instance, if I were researching in Texas and I wanted Rusk County records, I would go to the FamilySearch catalog and type in Rusk, Texas, United States, and all the records that are at the county level would come up in that search. And then I could see which ones might include the right years for what I was looking for and maybe the same record types. So that's what I usually do first. If you're in FamilySearch and you click on search records, what you're searching is the indexed records that we have, which might be maybe 20 to 25% of the records available. So if you try search records, you might get a few hits, but it's definitely not everything. And you're going to want to try lots of other options.
Wow. Okay. So, and those commas that you mentioned between the different terms, the search terms that we're using, it's just saying like search this and this and this and this, right?
So in the catalog, you just need a comma in between each jurisdiction so that
the jurisdictions. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just like if you were sending a letter and you were sending it to a city inside a state, you would have a comma in between those. So.
Okay. Thank you so much. We have a very specific question. I don't know that we can necessarily answer this here, but I'm just going to try tossing it to you. Mamlaket says, my second great-grandfather was a Black Portuguese. Family story is that he came to North Carolina with missionaries and is in the 1870 census. He says, I found third cousins in Senegal and Fula and family from the Azores. Would he be a Lancado? So I wonder if that's obviously it's something that it's a group that he's referring to. How can people make associations to you have this enslaved type of situation, right? And how can they take it a step further to where their ancestors originated from in Africa?
So I know a lot of people,
world, right?
a lot of people are doing DNA testing now. And the more people that test, the better idea we have of where people may have originated. And so for a really specific research problem like that, I encourage you to sign up for a free online consultation with a specialist from FamilySearch. And that's pretty easy to do. If you go to familysearch.org/library,
Mm.
you can get online research help there. And if you filter through all of the menu items, you can get an online consultation, which is like a 20-minute Zoom call with a specialist, and they can help walk you through your next steps in your research. But typically, we combine DNA research with documentary evidence to create a really solid story of what happened in the person's life.
Okay, lovely. And for those of you that are like, where can I find that? Because every time we talk about consultations, people are just so excited to sign up. I am tossing that link in the chat right now, or not the chat, in the comments right now, so that you can sign up, because what Julia just described is just marvelous. You have FamilySearch library experts with knowledge and subject matter expertise in all of these different topics and regions of the world, and DNA too. And they offer their time to you for free. It sounds, there's nothing to be sold, guys. You know, all of you know or should know that FamilySearch is free. And we've been putting a banner at the bottom of the screen for those of you that are watching. We've got 350 people watching, Julia. Isn't that crazy? Uh, you can watch free classes just like this at rootstech.org. But please sign up for the consultation, because I've done it, and it's you discover so much in the 20 minutes that they give you, and they just do it for a shorter period of time to be able to get to everybody. But you can have consultations over weeks, and just be sure to come up or to identify your specific research question, because it'll make it so much more productive. Julia, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us about that. Okay. Um, so Margot is asking, and this is definitely a question that we get a lot. So if you can attach a relation, so if you find information about someone, um, you can attach relationships to other people's trees without their permission. And I know that that sometimes is a little bit different from Ancestry and from other types of platforms. But can you talk to us about just, I think that this is more of like a quality question. How can we make sure that anything that we do as far as attaching relationships to the tree is of quality, that we're double checking our sources?
Okay, so first, the most important thing to know is that the FamilySearch family tree is a one world tree. No one owns any part of it. You put your branch in there and it connects to the one world tree. And so anyone can go in the tree and add sources, they can add relationships, they can fix things, they can add, add other information, memories, and it's fantastic for collaboration. Unfortunately, there are people that are a little bit less experienced and they may introduce errors into the tree or make mistakes. And we understand that, and that's totally fine. So FamilySearch has added in some safeguards, and one of those are reason statements. And so if you are adding a relationship to family tree to someone, it will ask you to put in a reason statement of why is this correct? And you can say, well, because it says it in this probate file that James was enslaved by John Smith or whoever, and you can attach the source right there directly to the records. So whoever's looking at that information can read your reason statement, they can see the source, and they can say, oh yeah, this really is true. And so the people, we hope, will be less likely to try to change it back or anything like that. We
Thank you.
also really recommend that you keep your research on another platform as well that's not connected to this one world tree, something like a private database on your own computer. So that if something happens that gets changed that's incorrect, you can go back and see what's correct and you can fix it.
Thank you so much, Julia. I really appreciate just your emphasis on substantiation. It's all about making sure that if you are making a change or adding information, that you add in where you're pulling that information from, so that other people can understand, just can this be trusted, and verification is so important. Thank you for I'm one of those people that I'm learning, and I always hope that anything that I'm adding to the tree isn't messing someone else up. So that's a great reminder. Thank you. We have a question from Terrence, and he says, does the Family Search automatically go through all of the databases for heritage backgrounds?
So no, there's no one at FamilySearch doing that. FamilySearch is all about creating access to records and allowing people to collaborate to build the family tree. And so um, if you take a DNA test and you get your ethnicity estimate or something, that's a third party. That has nothing to do with FamilySearch. But you can take that information and you can compare it to what's in the actual historical documents that you might find on FamilySearch or even on another website or in another database or at an archive. And by comparing what's in those historical records to your DNA evidence, sometimes you can get a fuller picture of where you came from and what your heritage is.
That's so interesting. Just a lot of emphasis on making sure that you're complementing your research with maybe a DNA test to be able to maybe become a little bit more laser focused on your heritage. That's wonderful. I appreciate you sharing that. I think I need to do more DNA tests. um, we have another question. They're asking, so in their situation, they have a Mbundu tribe family member that came through Surrey County, Virginia. And this person says the enslaving family comes from a co-conspirator with Nathaniel Bacon that came to North Carolina as a fugitive. So the question is, can I find where that individual purchased his slaves? Are there any records or tips that come to mind, Julia?
So it's definitely possible. As more records that have been maybe neglected in the past because they're so difficult to search, so lengthy and handwritten and poor quality. As more of those are digitized and put into things like full text search and using AI tools, that information is going to come to light. And so a lot of those records of sales of enslaved people were kept in manuscript collections, which were donated to archives. So they may be sitting there somewhere in a facility, but no one knows what's in those records because they're so lengthy and handwritten and difficult to search. So look for more records like that to become available in the future as we use computer technology to extract the information, to read it, to analyze it, to organize it, and to make sure that it's accessible to people like you so that they can find their families.
Julia, I really appreciate how much you've just underlined what FamilySearch offers, which is this tool called full text search. For those of you that are just tuning in, full text search is really a mind-blowing type of tool that pairs family history with AI. And Julia did such a wonderful job. And Julia, people are complimenting you about how you explained everything so well in plain English. It's like everything was just so crystal clear. So for those of you that are just tuning in, really like what Julia is saying here is that something called full text search, which is a family search tool, is a really good way to find historical documents that haven't been fully transcribed yet. But with the help of AI, you can search for specific names or information, and AI will help you identify those words in these lengthy documents. Julia, I hope I didn't massacre that explanation. What more can you add to just how much of a trailblazer type of tool this is in the industry?
I think this is the most exciting thing that I've ever seen in genealogy. And I've been doing this for decades, and it's only going to get better. I think we're just at the tip of the iceberg here. The trick with using full text is to keep trying different things and to keep checking back, because as more records are added, you're going to find new things. It's still in an experimental phase, and that's why it's in FamilySearch labs. And that's because it's changing so fast. And we don't know what the finished product is actually going to look like yet, because it's just expanding so rapidly. So if you check and you don't find exactly what you're looking for, try again next week, and be sure that you go to your local Family Search Center or an affiliate library, because you are going to see additional records that you won't see at home. But don't give up, because it's exploding what we can find about so many people that have been hidden in past records before. So
Thank you, Julia. Everyone, don't give up. Julia said it best. This is something that, again, we're seeing more documents come to light, and they're becoming accessible. And go to a Family Search Center near you. I think we have thousands of Family Search Centers around the world, especially in the United States and in Canada. They're there. They're open usually like multiple days a week, and it's all free. And the nice thing about going to a Family Search Center is that you can access ancestry for free, I'm pretty sure, right, Julia? And all of these other, we have these industry friends that we work with and we collaborate with to be able to make family history accessible to you. That is our mission. And then just really quickly, Margot, who's so excited about this presentation, she says, will the slides be available afterwards? Julia, do you know a little bit about just your syllabus and where it will be?
So the syllabus is posted online on the Roots Tech website. I think it's probably where you access this class. That's there. There's also other syllabi from other classes that have been taught about full text search and African American research that are available on that Roots Tech website. Unfortunately, I can't share the slides with you because they're copyright by Family Search. But you can come back and rewatch this presentation as many times as you like.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I just barely gave another presentation a couple weeks ago for Legacy Family Tree webinars, and it was sponsored by Family Search, so it's going to be free forever. It's just on a different platform. So if you can probably Google that. It's called Secrets for Success, How to Harness the Power of Family Search's Full Text Search.
Thank you, Julia. So our another team member just posted the syllabus link, which is a part of the rootstech.org experience. And guys, look at the banner below. It says, watch hundreds of free family history classes like this one at rootstech.org. Julia has multiple classes on rootstech.org. Rootstech is by Family Search. It's an event that happens. It's actually the world's largest family history event. You can attend online or in person. We have millions of people from all of the world and backgrounds and family history experiences attend. And for those 400 of you watching, please know that we have this event every March, but the reality is that Roots Tech season by Family Search is all year. And that's why we bring it to you every Thursday at 11 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. There is an awesome opportunity to learn from experts like Julia. Last week, we were talking more about, 2 weeks ago. Gosh, time just flies by. We were learning from Mark, who was talking all about how AI is advancing family history, just like Julia was talking about. So you can dive into this at your own pace, whether it's you wanting to join us live or you wanting to refer back to these classes. We're here for you. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm not seeing any more questions. All I know is that everyone's saying excellent presentation. We've got Joyous. She's it says Joyous Genealogist. That's the username. I love it. She's saying, I am loving full text search. The new AI assistant is helping me find so many missing people in my tree. So there you have it. Don't take our word for it, friends. Take Joyous Genealogist's word that she's saying Family Search is rocking it. So go to FamilySearch.org. Or just Google Family Search, full text search, and try it out for yourself. If you're wondering what can you do in your downtime this summer to help others or to help yourself progress in your family history, whatever your ancestral heritage looks like, there is always an activity at your fingertips at FamilySearch.org or a video for you to watch at rootstech.org. Julia, thank you for letting us be a part of this today and for giving it your all on a holiday. Any final words for those that are just maybe starting their family history?
Don't give up. It's worth it. So
thank you so much. We really do appreciate your time. And everyone, we are going to be wrapping up this live stream, but that doesn't mean that if you have a question now that you weren't able to ask or we weren't able to answer, that you can't drop your questions. We're always here on social media watching for your questions, and we have Julie and other family history experts always chiming in to make sure that you get those questions answered. For those of you that did ask questions that were a little bit more specific to your family history circumstance and journey, we would encourage you to really just take advantage of the family history consultations with the FamilySearch Library. They're in Spanish, they're in English, they're in a lot of different languages. That's going to be the most helpful for you. Everyone, have a wonderful Juneteenth, and thank you for tuning in. We will see you next Thursday at 11 a.m. Mountain Daylight Time. Enjoy your day. Bye. Thank you.